Hello everyone. So, a Texas judge has ruled the Affordable Health Care Act unconstitutional. This is wonderful news, and I want to cover it on CNN Politics just to rub salt into the wound. So, this article's by Irene DeVogue and Tammy Lube, CNN. So, a federal judge in Texas said on Friday that the Affordable Care Act's individual coverage mandate is unconstitutional, and that the rest of the law therefore cannot stand. Legal experts say the ruling won't immediately affect Americans' health coverage, and a group of states led by California, of course, is already vowing to appeal. But the invalidation of the landmark healthcare law, popularly known as Obamacare, throws into doubt the future of health coverage for millions of Americans on the Obamacare exchanges and in Medicaid expansion. Yeah, so one of the things that Obama did was pass the ACA, Obamacare as it was dubbed. And the most disturbing thing about this was that it was a lengthy piece of legislation. I can't remember exactly how many pages it had, but it was described, and quite insanely, it was described as something that was just too long to read. There was actually people who said, we have to pass this bill before we can look inside of it. It was a complete corrupt hack job. The ACA should have never been passed in the first place. And now finally a judge from based Texas, stay red-pilled, has finally decided that mandating everyone to have health care and to charge people taxes to fund that health care is unconstitutional. I believe there's also a fee, like if you didn't get coverage, you had to pay a fee, all of that crap. So the ruling and expected appeal sets up another cliffhanger in which the fate of the law, which Republicans have unsuccessfully tried to repeal for years, will likely once again ultimately lie with the Supreme Court. Chief Justice John Roberts cast a deciding vote, leaving the law intact in 2012, but it's unclear how the justices will view this challenge, which centers on changes to the individual mandate that were baked into the 2017 tax reform. President Donald Trump, who campaigned in 2016 on a promise to undo Obamacare, was thwarted in Congress last year by a lone vote from a late Arizona Republican Senator John McCain. Yeah, that guy who hates America, who's a warmonger, all that good stuff. He wanted to stop Trump at any means possible. Horrible person. Trump immediately tweeted in celebration on Friday and called Congress to act. As I predicted long ago, Obamacare has been struck down as unconstitutional. Disaster. Now Congress must pass a strong law that provides great health care and protects pre-existing conditions. Mitch and Nancy, get it done, Trump wrote. He later added, wow, but not surprisingly, Obamacare was just ruled unconstitutional by a highly respected judge in Texas. Great news for America. And so Trump goes on to say that if the decision is upheld by the Supreme Court, they're going to sit down with Democrats and they're going to try to make a new bill, hopefully one that's not absolute garbage like the last one, which cost a lot of people money, and honestly I don't think was much of a help to America at all. Every time the government steps in, creates welfare, it always leads to prices going up, it always leads to abuse, and it always leads to nothing being solved. This is nothing new in the American healthcare system, which is a disaster. The article goes on to say, Democratic House Leader Nancy Pelosi decried the ruling and suggested that the coming Democratic-led House will intervene in the case. Republicans are fully responsible for this cruel decision and for the fear they have struck into millions of families across America who are now in danger of losing their health coverage, Pelosi said in a statement released late Friday. When the House Democrats take the gavel, the House of Representatives will move swiftly to formally intervene in the appeals process to uphold the life-saving protections for people with pre-existing conditions and reject Republicans' effort to destroy the Affordable Health Care Act. You know what, Nancy Pelosi? You're just another one of them. Another one of those corrupt politicians that doesn't actually care about the country, that doesn't actually care about the people. Another distorted, misguided fool who doesn't see these laws for what they are. Unconstitutional, un-American, and inefficient. They just don't work. So, the reason this was finally struck down in particular, according to District Judge Reed O'Connor, individual mandate can no longer be fairly read as an exercise of Congress's tax power and is still impermissible under the Interstate Commerce Clause, meaning the individual mandate is unconstitutional. He also held the individual mandate is essential to and inseverable from the remainder of the ACA, to which I agree. I honestly think the entire thing was a disaster. It was a disaster the moment they drafted it it, the moment they forced it through, and the moment that it got approved. So yeah, there's a specific mandate in the ACA that says you have to get this insurance or you pay a penalty, which in my opinion alone is unconstitutional. You know, and that's where this whole argument centers around. And I'm glad that people are finally fighting back against it. But officially, according to the Republican coalition led by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, they're arguing that the change rendered the mandate itself unconstitutional. The states say that the voiding of the penalty, which takes effect next year, removes the legal underpinning the Supreme Court relied upon when it upheld the law in 2012 under Congress's tax power. Honestly, I can't help but think this is an act of 4D chess. Republicans were pushing hard to remove the penalty, and the penalty itself was sort of a linchpin holding the ACA together. So with that gone, the justification is gone, and now they can go after the ACA. So the Trump administration said in June that it would not defend several important provisions of Obamacare in court. It agreed that zeroing out the policy renders the individual mandate unconstitutional, but argued that invalidates only the law's protections of those with pre-existing conditions. These including banning insurers from denying people's policies or charging them more based on their medical histories, as well as limiting coverage of the treatment they need. So that's the short end of it. Basically, they're going to be fighting over this. The Democrats are going to want to push to keep Obamacare in operation. The Republicans are going to want to strike it down. I think and I hope that Republicans win and we get rid of this terrible plan. At least the people that I've known, it just hasn't worked out. It hasn't been good for people. I mean, a penalty in and of itself is, I think it's bullcrap. But this is big news, and it's certainly important going forward. What happens now may determine the fate of healthcare in the United States. But that, my friends, is merely the obvious. Well, that's all for now, folks. Let me know what you guys think about this. I really hope we win this one. We need some more wins under our belts. Anyhow, thank you all for watching. Have a wonderful day. This has been Mr. Obvious, bringing you the obvious. And I'll see you all next time.